Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Navs Effect podcast. I'm your host, Naveen Ganglani. Thanks for joining us. In a little bit, we'll be recapping Game 2 of the UAAP Men's Basketball Finals. We'll be joined by Karl Batungbacal once again. We'll be talking about how UP was able to pull off that impressive victory, a late close game victory, their first against DLSU in UAAP Season 88, to force a winner-take-all. Stats go out of the window, everything goes out of the window, everything on the line for the championship on Wednesday. Gerry Abadiano with some big time clutch shots there in the final quarter. And some big plays from other UP Fighting Maroons, particularly Jacob Baila and his defense. So we'll be unpacking all of that and talking about what might have gone wrong or right from the DLSU side of things. So I can't wait to get into it. If you're a returning listener, thanks for tuning in once again. And if you're a new listener to the podcast, we hope that you'll be listening not just now, but for the future episodes to come. Now, before we get started, a big thank you to our two big friends of the podcast. First, Cooper's Coffee House. Like I always say, they have the best coffee in Manila. They've got branches in Mega Mall, in Alabang, in One Ayala. They recently opened a very aesthetic branch at BGC. If you guys are looking for what you should order if you do visit Cooper's, brown butter latte, the BBL, absolutely a must have. The iced matcha, the dirty matcha, the brown butter cold brew, and even their Americano, just their black coffee can be awesome too. So you won't regret it. I highly recommend it, Cooper's Coffee House. And also, a big thank you to our friends over at Daily Fantasy. If you guys haven't yet, Daily Fantasy is a fun, interactive game that you can play on your web browser or on your phone on an app, and it's quite simple, particularly for those who have played fantasy basketball before. You have eight roster spots: point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center, and three flex spots. I'm talking about the basketball side of things. And you're given a certain amount of credits to build your team. And you gotta act like a general manager and put your team together. And if your team performs the best for a certain game, say, for example, the upcoming NBA Cup Finals game between the Knicks and the Spurs, your 10 peso entry could win you 1,500 pesos. Yes, that's how big the rewards can be. And because Daily Fantasy is super nice, they have a big game coming up. Ginebra versus Stock and Text on December 21, 150,000 pesos on the line. I mean, what do you have to lose, right? It's small entry, low risk, potentially high reward. So go check it out. You can register for an account now. You can use my referral code Naveen to earn some rubies to get started and play a free game. The link is in the description box if you want to join Daily Fantasy. You won't regret it. Okay, let's now bring on our friend, Karl Batungbacal. And hello to everyone tuning in live. Much appreciated. We always like it when you guys interact with us in these podcast episodes. Karl, thanks for joining me, man. I mean, no car accident for you this time. This time it happened to my junior writer, Chin. That's a life corner segment that Chin should share when I eventually have her on this podcast. She's getting better, but she's not quite in the podcast level yet. I got to train her for a bit, but for now, we got Karl joining us. Karl, so what did you think about the game that took place earlier?
Well, it was a hectic, helter-skelter game between both sides of both sides. UP was energetic, but Lasalle came out energetic first. Like the initial spurt, it was a Lasalle storm. I think it was a 7-0 run to start, and then you have UP slowly coming back, slowly putting in more effort as the game continued, and then you have Harold Alarcon going cold, and then you have Gerry Abadiano suddenly cannot miss a mid-range to save his life. So it's gonna be an interesting one. It's been fun, and we're gonna go to a game 3 on Wednesday.
Exactly. Just to take a look at the stats real quick so that those tuning in have an idea. LaSalle shot 32.4% from the field. UP shot 38.1%, but DLSU did get 8 more shot attempts than UP did. From the free throw line, LaSalle 13 out of 20. Not great, but kind of better than what we're used to seeing from them. UP 12 out of 18, so both teams were fairly even in that regard. Rebounding advantage, my mic just fell down. 50 to 41 rebounding advantage for DLSU. And then the turnover battle, meanwhile, UP forced 15 DLSU turnovers. Quite a few of those were shot clock violations, actually. Meanwhile, UP with just 10 miscues. 3-point shooting, 6 out of 16 from UP, 4 of 23 from DLSU. Leading Lasalle, Jacob Cortez 16 points and 15 shot attempts, and Luis Pablo at 12 points. I thought he had a phenomenal game. Gerry Abadiano with 17 to lead UP. Francis Naruka with 13 markers and 13 rebounds. So, what stood out the most to you? Was it Jacob's defense on Jacob, the Jacob versus Jacob battle? Shout out to Xavier Lucero, by the way, coming on the podcast last time around and pointing that out, telling the UP crowd, I mean, the UP coaches what to do. Or was it Jerry's late game shot making? Because I thought that really gave UP the separation they needed to secure the victory.
Well, the Jerry, well, well, first of all, let's do it like this. So you have the Jacob matchup, which significantly and it really slowed down Jacob Cortez because Jacob Bela is a lengthy defender that uses his wingspan, and also he has very, very insanely good lateral movement to just stop opposing players. But then you have Jerry with the scoring. So when you ask me which one was more important, ang hirap kasi I think it's unfair to say that one or the other ang mas mahirap, because for this one, stopping or at least containing Jacob Cortez, especially um, leading up to that Boris Marasigan shot, my brain just got lost there. Leading up to that Boris Marasigan shot to at least win the game, medyo crucial stop yun eh. But then you have Gerry Abadiano to do the dirty work on offense for UP when Harold Alarcon was shooting at, what is this, 1 out of 10 from the field. So that's 0 of 2 from 3, and
Talk
then 1
about
of 8 from
regression to
2.
the mean, right?
I think a lot of people had hype for Harold kasi 34, 32 points last time around. Uy, big numbers, tutuloy yan in game 2. Nah, it wasn't, hindi siya sustainable enough. For UP, this one was a team win, and you have Jerry at 17, you have Francis Nuruk at 13, and then crucially, Ray Remogat with 12. We need UP needed that guy to show up, and he did. He had a Steph Curry-esque three at some point earlier in the game, and I was like, "Oy, medyo nangangamoy UP victory." Yun lang
Yeah,
naman.
with Remogat, when you look at the stats, diba, let's say you're a box score watcher, like a lot of these feeling smart asses idiots on Facebook are sometimes. He had 12 points and 4 out of 14 shooting from the field. He was a +3 and he had 3 steals. Now 4 out of 15, 4 out of 14 from the field, including 0 of 6 from 2-point range. If you're a box score watcher, you'd think, oh, that's a bad game. That's not an efficient game. And overall, from a macro perspective, I agree it's not super efficient. But with Ray, you have to remember when his shots came. So the first 2 3 pointers that he hit were in the first quarter when it looked like Lasalle might actually run away with a win and blow things out of proportion. Ray's 3 pointers kept them in the game. Then the next 2 3 pointers came in the opening minutes of the fourth quarter. Now, it didn't exactly give UP a big lead because LaSalle was scoring to counter his shots. But if Ray's not making those shots and LaSalle takes an early lead in the fourth quarter, we might be talking about a different result. We might be talking about a different ending to this game. So after we kind of mentioned that Ray was MIA in game one, I wasn't super impressed, but I thought this was a much better response from him in game two.
It's not just much better, it was a much needed response for Ray Mogat because, again, Harold Alarcon shot 1 for 10. If Ray Mogat didn't show up today, it would have been a Lasal victory. I have no doubt about that. Pero kasi, when you run the offense through Ray, as what UP did for the better part of the first half, it kept DLSU's defense completely honest. Jacob Cortez struggled to keep up with him sometimes. Not saying that he was like dropped or he got lost on defense. It's just sobrang shifty ni Ray Mogat. I think people forget na yung pagka-shifty niya is agile siya pero mabilis pero in control at all at the same time. And it's weird because you struggle to defend against those kasi you're gonna have a bad shot every once in a while. Ray Mogat had his bad shots a bit, but then when it mattered most, he was there. And I can't blame UP for going after, or at least going through him to start the game.
Now we're gonna get more into the other players, but right now let's get to the Jacob Baila defense. So for game one, UP puts Raylan Torres mostly on Jacob Cortez, right? And Jacob has, I think it was 10 out of 15 in game one, and of course he had the big shot late. Game two, I mean he still had more points than shots, 16 points on 6 of 15 shooting, but you could just see that the shot quality and the toughness when it comes to the shots, like how tough they were to attempt and just to get his shot off to begin with, Jacob Bela made it much more difficult for him. And when you're trying to guard great players, because Jacob Cortez is a great player, I would go as far as to say he's a phenomenal player. You can't exactly stop them, right? Because great offensive players, phenomenal players, are just gonna find ways to put the ball in the hole and be efficient. But the best thing you can hope for as a quality defender, aside from completely shutting someone down, is just make it tougher for them. Make them have to exert a little more effort to get their shots up. And if you look at some of the 3-point attempts that Cortez was taking at the end of this game, too, there were 3 3-point misses that he had. Compared to the big shots he was hitting against Ateneo, against NU, against UP in game one, this was way more challenge, way more length on him. He kind of had to change his shooting form to some degree to compensate for the length that he was facing. And Jacob just made life a little more difficult for him. 10 to 20% more difficult for Cortez, kind of like how he did to KQ last year. And if you're Baila, that's what it means to do your job and do your job the right way.
No, and I think Baila did a near perfect job. I won't say perfect because there are still some miscues from him in game two. But then you have to give credit where credit is due. Jacob Baila did what was expected of him by a lot of fans from UP side. Not just to contain or even deny the ball from Ray Ramuga, just to stick to him. Kasi ang hirap to stick to Jacob Cortez. The kid is fast, very shifty as well, similar to Remogat, but in the same vein, maraming screens ang Lasal. Lasal's sets are screen heavy to start, and then there are times na bahala na bigla yung flow of the offense. So, for Jacob Baila to stick to Jacob Cortez for the better part of this game and to contain him to 16 points, use it very loosely, okay na. Okay na. It was enough for UP to get the win and to get everyone else going and to at least force everyone else on LaSalle to beat them, which unfortunately for LaSalle fans did not happen.
By the way, Jacob also had 6 points in this game. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but he actually helped UP early on when, like I said, LaSalle got off to a better start and UP needed some offense. And thanks to everyone tuning in and sending in their comments. Really appreciate it. Mr. WTF, WTF, WTF 1389. Much love in the comment. Thank you so much. My wife and I are very much thrilled. I'm not sure how thrilled my wife is right now because I'm supposed to be changing diapers, but because she's the angel that she is, she's letting me do this podcast before I go clean my little boy's poo poo, shall we say. I love you, my wife. Thank you so much. Okay, here, Miles Devesa, of course, our friend Miles says, hot take, as good as Pablo and Phillips are, Amos is DLSU's best strong side post defender. After Naruka initially struggled, he started scoring on Pablo and Phillips. Hope UP continues to feed him down low, especially at the start. That was a missing factor in the first game. That's something that Carl and I also pointed out. You got to get the ball to Naruka more. Podcast over diapers, says Luis. We'll see. Remains to be determined. If you guys have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them. Carl will answer them throughout this episode too. Yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll take some Jonty questions later on because Jonty was at the game today, so um, that's part of the equation, I guess. So another thing that I wanted to bring up was Jerry's scoring because that was really the key. In the third quarter, he really got things going. You could just see in his eyes every time Kian Baklan was on the court that Jerry said, I'm gonna attack him. I'm gonna involve him in ball screen. Sometimes I'm gonna go one on one. And Jerry has it move where he gets to the rim. He has a strong center of gravity, strong base, kind of nudges the defender a bit, then just needs a little room to pull up and take the midi. And some of the middies he was hitting was Jacob Cortez-esque, but we can't call it that because Jerry's been hitting these mid-range jumpers for years. So if game one was, you know, it wasn't really a Cortez show down the stretch because he had that one shot, but throughout the game, Jacob was doing his thing. Here, Gerry did something similar, except it came more as a spurt, like all in one, sunod sunod, which is how a lot of the UP players get their offense because they tend to spread out the minutes. There were some technical fouls by UP, by Torres and Alter that were kind of costly, and it came via plays that honestly you can avoid if you're these players, like just shoving the Lasalle guy aside while you're trying to help your teammate up. At this stage, you just 1 point can make the difference. I mean, that Voris Marasigan shot, if that goes in, Lasalle takes the lead, maybe they win the championship. And remember, they were only down two at that point because Cortez had made a free throw off a technical foul from Alter, right? So just something to keep an eye on. Who will keep their cool more come game three? How is Kian doing? Someone's asking in the comments. He's fine. It seemed like he went back to the game after he got hurt. Mike Phillips, another. He was good in terms of rebounding and protecting the rim. He had 14 boards, but just 8 points in 1 of 5 shooting, 6 out of 10 from the free throw line. So UP continues to limit him. JC Makalalag, I thought, had some good moments. He had 7 points. Pablo, I thought, was excellent. 12 points, 5 of 7 from the field, 6 boards, 2 assists, 3 blocks. Once again, 1 steal. He's kind of like a fantasy steal in the UAAP side of things, right? And
Actually.
he just continues to play really well. I mean, the weak side help defense, the bank shots, the scoring in the paint, getting the end ones, and just doing the little things here and there to contribute to winning. If there's one reason to be excited, if you're a LaSalle fan moving forward, is that Pablo is playing well. What are some of the other observations you had from game two, Carl?
Well, with game two, I think the biggest thing that really happened was UP was super physical. Let's I'll put it that way. Very physical ang UP in this game. And it was something that I was waiting to see or whether it would come out even. Kasi when UP gets very physical, it gets hard to contend with them. And then you have Gani Stevens getting physical with Mike, Francis Nuruka getting physical with Mike, Luis Pablo getting in there as well. Medyo free for all on the inside. I think that was the biggest I think at least yun yung biggest difference for me in this game. And then you have, sino to? Amos was, pwede, sige. Amos was okay. He was decent for what he did. He didn't have to score much for Lasal, but he did have that step through layup bahala na shot. I think in the first half. So that one was big as well. And then it's just ang gulo ng game na to. If you watched it from start to finish, you were expecting an all-out brawl, not just in terms of the scoreboard, but also in terms of the emotions. And we got a lot of that on both ends. So it was a very magical or at least unforgettable game too.
So I'm gonna point out a certain stretch where I honestly thought LaSalle lost the game in the fourth quarter. It's not the main reason they lost the game because they still had the chance down the stretch. But if I had to pick a certain point in the fourth period where they did not capitalize, in which I thought if they did capitalize, they would have won, it's this. So with 4 minutes and 10 seconds left, and the DLSU Green Archers ahead by one, Jacob Bela misses 2 free throws. Mike Phillips gets the rebound, and at the 4:10 mark, right before the rebound, rather, Phillips, Kian Baclaan subs in for Jacob Cortez. Now, this is about the same time where Kian subbed in for Jacob in game one, and because Jacob was able to get that rest, as some people have said, he was able to knock down that late game shot, right? So Topex, understandably so, goes with the same strategy. It worked in game one, why not give it a chance, right? 3 minutes 59 seconds left. Kian Baclaan loses the ball. It's a turnover. And I believe that turnover started when Boris Marsigan had to clear out and tried to go one on one. Okay, what happens after that? Abadiano takes a jump shot. He misses it. Rebound to Amos. And again, they go with Marasigan going one on one, this time against Abadiano. And some people might think that's a mismatch because Boris has the height advantage over Gerry. But Gerry proves once again why he is a superb on the ball defender. He finds ways to get the ball from the offensive players and start a run. Gerry swipes the ball away from Boris Marsigan. It's a turnover. Mike Phillips commits a foul. After that, 3 minutes, 33 seconds left. Kian Baclaan comes out for Jacob Cortez. 3 minutes, 14 seconds left. Steven makes the shot underneath the paint. And I thought Gianni, I know he was battling cramps and he had 0 points in game one. He had a pretty decent game too. At least what he provided, UP needed, and it helped to the team winning. After that, Mike Phillips splits his free throws, and then that's when the Gerry Abadiano barrage of middies started. So that stretch there, that 1 minute stretch where DLSU has two opportunities to extend the lead. They go Marasigan one-on-one both times, and both times it results to a turnover. You just kind of look back in that moment there. And again, I'm not blaming the substitution because I was okay with the substitution of Baclaan going in for Cortez because it worked last time around. But the play where Marasigan goes one-on-one and it leads to a turnover, it I felt that was the key moment that if you could change something for Lasalle going back to this game, that's what would probably change.
Going back to back with Boris Marasigan. Yeah, I think those two sequences were very questionable. Sige, I'll put it that way. Kasi Boris Marasigan going one-on-one with Gerry Abadiano, I can understand the logic behind it. Pero at that moment, I think walang field goal ang Lasal at that, up to that point. Or isa pa lang in the fourth at that time. So parang you're kind of desperate to get a basket, pero it's gonna be going through Boris Marasigan. I wouldn't have suggested it that way. Maybe run a play. ISOs are fine, and it's the playoffs. I get it. It's the finals even. So understandable yan. Pero it's not the best method. Kasi UP has had them figured out. I would say that. I don't think mali ako or I would be in the wrong if I say that UP had Lasalle's offense figured out by, I want to say, late in the third, early in the fourth. Because Lasalle looked, may hint of, may lack of ano eh. What's the term? May lack of energy ang Lasalle. May sense of
Urgency.
urgency? Yes. Urgency, yes. But yung energy is not there. Like, they're just doing things for the sake of doing things eh. Hindi ko makita na they were confident that this was going to be the play. I think it was more of an on the fly call on the court. I don't know. I don't know with Coach Topex, with Kian. Kasi yung stretch na yun, it was interesting. Pero I don't think it was the best approach at that time.
Boris Marsigan, by the way, 4 out of 16. And I'm not saying that he was the reason Lasalle lost because I think more than Lasalle losing this game, UP won this game and they looked rather impressive. But there were some sequences, like you mentioned, Carl, where the offensive decision making left a little bit to be desired. Now, that final shot, they're down two. He goes for the 3 pointer. I thought he had enough space and room to get the ball back to Cortez. Ideally, that's where the ball goes to, given how Jacob's been playing. You also have to credit Jacob Aila's denial defense on Cortez, just making it hard and making Marasigan think twice about passing the ball because at that point, the last thing you want to do is commit a turnover. So Marasigan pulls up, ball goes in and out, so close, right? So close. Naruka pulls down the board, he gets fouled, and the rest is history. We end up going to a game three. Now, Earl Abadam has kind of been quiet in this series. He's the one guy that I think maybe if you're Lasalle, you can give the ball more to because he can create his own shot. He has a way of getting these pull-ups going. He has some moves in his bag as well to create space and get himself a decent looking shot. But if LaSalle does want to win this game three, for as good as Cortez is, they're gonna need a more collective effort from everyone. Today you basically got nothing to from Amos and Baclan. You got 2 points combined from both guys. So they're gonna need the others to step up and provide Cortez the extra help because if the other players are performing better, that might open the door for Cortez to get openings off the ball where he can move more and get downhill or get a decent looking shot off the creation of others. particularly Mike Phillips. I mean, Mike Phillips historically has performed well against UP in this matchup. Him getting the ball in the post and just kind of going to work in the low block has been one of their go-to options to counter this UP squad. They haven't gone much. In fact, there were some sequences they tried to get the ball to him in the middle. Granted, part of that was because UP was playing zone, and when you're going zone, the middle is the best place to attack. But every time Lasalle got the ball to the middle in that zone, it felt like UP just found a way to turn the ball over or to get running the other end. So this is two straight games where Phillips has scored below 10 points. I don't think that can happen again if LaSalle wants to win in game three.
I think UP doubled down on collapsing in the paint, especially on Mike. Whenever Mike had the ball, or even not Mike, even si Luis Pablo, even whether it's Boris Marasigan, UP finally addressed the biggest concern that people like me had for UP, which is butas yung gitna. And that was a problem versus LaSalle in games 1 and 2 in the first and second rounds. And then especially in game 1 as well. It was a glaring hole and UP patched that up. But then when you put things together, the defense that UP had in this game, mas ganado. Like they knew that this was it. Kasi whether it's the stakes involved or medyo mas ginanahan lang sila today, I wouldn't know the answer to that. Kasi unfair to the players if I try to put my thoughts in their mouths, problem yun. But the thing is, when you look at the on-court product, UP just wanted it more. LaSalle is a good team. LaSalle is a championship caliber team. UP is also that as well. But for this game, in game 2, UP just wanted it more. Mas ganado sila to close out. The physicality, I think, rocked LaSalle a little bit in this one.
Mm. Yeah, you're right. UP up the physicality a bit. And I thought Naruka was solid at the start of the game too with his scoring in the paint. He was one of the with Remagat and Bela to some degree, he was one of the key players who kept UP afloat to avoid DLSU from extending the lead too much. And yeah, he has won this matchup against Phillips so far in the finals. I think we can say that. Now it's only been two games, but at least from a scoring standpoint and providing scoring, Naruka has gotten a bit better out of Phillips, or rather, you've gotten a little bit more from Naruka than you have from Phillips. So let's see how game three goes. I mean, with game three, everything's on the line. The nerves are, you know, a little heightened, shall we say. By the way, Coach Topex after the game did mention that he was okay with Boris's final 3-point shot, the potential go-ahead shot. His exact words were, "If you practice that shot, then we're okay with you taking it." And because he said that, I'm gonna assume that Boris practices that shot a lot. And as we saw, it almost went in. Right when he released it, I was like, "Wait, no way, that's going in," because he just looked a little off balance. But then the ball actually nearly, had that Kawhi Game 7 moment against Philadelphia there for a second. I thought I was gonna find a way to bounce in, but it spun out and it landed in Naruka's hands, and Naruka ended up making a free throw. So let's get to some comments here to see if anyone has a question. We've seen a lot of comments and questions about Alarcon. Now, Harold in this game, not exactly gonna go to the Harold Alarcon Hall of Fame performances. Finished with 5 points on 1 of 10 shooting, 5 assists, 5 steals though. So defensively he was active and a team best plus 11 when he was on the court in 29 minutes. He did score well, and a lot of the shots he was missing were the same shots he was making in game one. So I had no issue with the shot attempts, the shot quality. He was doing the same thing he was doing in game one, but he was contributing in other ends. It seemed like he was being more mindful of trying to be more of a team player and not forcing the issue too much unless the situation called for it. I mean, when he saw that Abadiano had it going or Magat had it going, he was okay taking a back seat. And his defensive activity was pretty good. So if you're UP, you should actually almost be encouraged by the performance because I doubt Harold's gonna go 1 out of 10 from the field again. But if he can keep the same momentum in terms of his playmaking and defensive activity, that's only gonna help your team.
And I think with Harold kanina, I think it showed na medyo fatigued siya from the previous game because game 1, he had to carry so much of the UP offense on his back. And I think that finally came to bite UP kanina. But swerte for Harold Alarcon, Remogat showed up. Gerry Abadiano showed up, Francis Noruka showed up, and Jacob Bela showed up. But then again, this was a win too close for comfort for UP. And I think Harold Alarcon, ayan, I think one commenter just mentioned it. I think tired lang talaga si Harold. I completely agree because those same shots, as you mentioned, were the same ones that he was taking in game one. So, minsan, you can't explain it other than, wala, off game, pagod. Things happen. Bilog ang bola, as they say. Pero I don't think Harold Alarcon is gonna have that type of game again in game three. It will be an aggressive game for Harold, but I do think that Noruka steps up the production. I think Remogat will score about the same 12, 14 points. But what I do want to see more from UP is whether Gani Stevens can involve himself more on offense because the defense we know the defense from Gani, but the offense part medyo kulang for UP kanina. But lucky they pulled out the win. So hats off to them. Navs muted ka.
Thank you. Ako din, pagod na, Carl. We're all pagod na. Gani Stevens, I was saying, 8 points and 9 rebounds. He had some big shots in the second half. In the third quarter, I think he got the scoring going for UP, where he kind of bodied Mike and scored on him in the paint. And then in the fourth period, before Abadiano's 3 mini daggers, it was Stevens who first got things going and gave them the lead. So we'll see. And by the way, one more thing to note, Terence Fortea, just 7 minutes and 41 seconds in this game, just 2 points. I think as much as possible, UP is gonna try not to have Remogat and Fortea on the court together because you know when one of them is on the court, you're just seeing Lassal try to attack that guy immediately. Like whoever is guarding that guy, come give Cortez a ball screen, try to get a switch, or try to get the ball down low to Makalalag for a post up against Remogat or Fortea. So today, Remogat had it going. His shooting was good. That meant more Ray and less Terrence. You're right with the physicality. UP leaned more towards the guys who they knew could be physical and control the boards and prevent easy scoring opportunities for LaSalle, which is UP at their best when they're playing their physical brand of basketball, which some people might, jokingly call abuse because of how intense their defensive production is. It's when they can capitalize the most. Sometimes they like to dirty up the game as much as they like to make it run and gun style. They also like to do it by dirtying up the game and almost like shattering the will of their opponents. It doesn't happen. This mic stand, man. I don't know what's happening.
Palitan mo na yan. Upgrade na,
I
Navs.
know it's new. I literally just got it today. Shopee. Anyway, maybe it's just me. No, but yeah, when UP can play the defensive brand of basketball where they make things into a frenzy, it plays to their advantage most of the time.
I think one commenter also just pointed it out. I think sa YouTube, si Airbrid. Does UP have to go this style of game to win this low scoring physical type of play? Yes. Exactly what UP has to do for game 3. Because this UP that showed up in game 2 was the same one that walked down the Ateneo Blue Eagles in round 2. They have to keep it physical. They have to keep it borderline dirty or abuse. Not saying that UP is dirty. Wag niyo take out of context yan. Kilala ko kayo. I'm just saying they have to keep it physical. Very, very physical. Medyo force the issue on Mike a little bit. Because when you get physical with Mike, that expends a lot of effort and energy out of him. We saw that with Francis Naruka and with Gani Stevens kanina. And it was perfect because Mike was frozen out of the sets of DLSU on offense. So it works out. You have to keep it physical with Lasalle. UP low scoring, yes. Definitely. They can't go toe to toe with UP with DLSU on scoring.
I mean, second half, 14 points for both teams each in the third quarter. UP outscores LaSalle by 1 in the fourth period. It's just so close between both these teams where, yes, we're talking about it because we're on the podcast, what went wrong, what went right, what we like to see from both teams, what they could do moving forward. But when you just have two very even squads, and these two are clearly the best teams in the UAP because for all the talk we did about how much parity there was, how much balance there was this past season, it's indicative now in the finals that these two at full strength are just the best squads in the league, the margin for error is very, very small. And that's why I harp back on those two possessions earlier where DLSU turned the ball over on ISO plays in the fourth period. Those are the mistakes you can't afford because it almost feels like sometimes the the less frequent you shoot yourself on the foot, the better you put yourself to win the game down the stretch, right? I mean, DLSU won those first four games against UP in season 88 with lots of hustle plays down the stretch of these fourth periods. It just so happens this time around it felt like UP matched them, and then they had Abadiano to provide the scoring burst they needed.
No, you need that. You need someone like Gerry to kumbaga hammer the final nail in the coffin. So, but even then, UP wasn't super dominant in this game. I think ang nag-standout lang talaga to me and to a lot of people, I would say, is the physicality. Lasalle struggled with that, and to a certain degree, I think UP was in their heads because Voris, I think yung sequence niya with Sean Alter, yung altercation nila, altercation, that led to the technical on Sean Alter. Sorry, mature. That led to that. Medyo nakikita mo in Voris na parang, you think you can out-mind games me, ha? I can out-mind games you too. Parang, you cannot play that with UP. UP is just way too good and too veteran of a team to do that. So, medyo maraming mental mistakes din for DLSU, I would say.
All right, to our commenters right now and to those viewing into the podcast or listening to the podcast, let us know in the comments if you guys have any questions you'd like us to answer or any statements you guys want to put out there. Why not, right? We're live anyway. So, Carl, while we're waiting for the questions from our viewers, I guess let's play a concern meter kind of gimmick here. So, one
Okay.
to five, I'm going to tell you a few things, and you tell me one to five how concerned Lasalle should be or UP should be. Okay. Mike Phillips' lack of offensive production in terms of scoring, 1 to 5. How concerned should DLSU be right now?
I think four. Four would be a good number for this one because Mike Phillips shouldn't be the number one option versus a UP team that can rotate Gani Stevens and Francis Noruka at any given moment. That's may help defense pa from Jacob Bela, Mark Belmonte, Raylan Torres. Mike Phillips cannot do that. But he does have to make himself feel or be present on offense to open up their scores because Earl Abadam hasn't had a lot of shots. JC Makalalag took how many shots earlier? 3 out of 7. 1 out of 3 from three, 2 out of 4. Kulang. Kulang yung perimeter scoring from Lasalle in this game. So if Mike can find a way to at least hammer the paint, get some fouls, especially on Gani and Francis Naruka, I think it'll open up the floor more for Lasalle to play and even build a bigger lead.
I'm going to go 3.5. Now, we should mention Mike did have two early fouls in this game, which I thought limited some of his aggression, especially on defense. I mean, there were some plays he barely, tried to I mean, he put his hands up, but he didn't really contest some of Naruka's shots to avoid an early third foul. But UP has kind of found a way to just collapse on him when he's close to the rim and force him to be more of a passer than just rely more on their ability to recover to outside shooters. But like I said, I think LaSalle's going to need more from Mike in terms of his scoring if they want to win game three. Okay, from the UP side of things, how concerned should UP be that in game one they were relying a lot on Alarcon mid-range jumpers, and now in game two Abadiano saved them with jump shooting too? Is that a concern? 1 to 5 that UP's best offense in a lot of these situations are their guard taking jump shots.
Concern, I would say actually 4.5 yan eh. Because in the finals, lalo na game 3 on Wednesday, if what if Harold Alarcon is cold? What if Gerry Abadiano is also cold? And what if Ray Remogat is also cold? So who do you turn to, diba? You turn to Francis Noruka. Let's say he's in foul trouble. And LaSalle has a 6-point lead in the fourth quarter. medyo problem yun for UP. I think what UP has to do is to spread the scoring up. Spread the shots because UP's most who had the most shots kanina, Gerry and Remogat with 14 apiece in terms of field goals. Give Jacob Bela two more. Give Raylan Torres two more. Raylan only shot one. Mark Belmonte shot one. Sean Alter shot one. Fortea shot three, made one. Janjan Felicida made one out of one. So, Chico Briones time. Let us see. Chico, Miguel Iniguez actually. I want to see Miguel Iniguez put up like be more impactful for Lassal, for UP. Kasi kaya eh. Like kulang ng bigs ang UP. Hell, throw Miguel Mix Iniguez in there. Kaya niya. But it can't be a last minute saving type of game again from someone from UP. How about you, Nevs?
I'm gonna go a one. Just because in those situations, and one commenter pointed it out here that a lot of defenses take away the three ball or the attacks at the rim. So the fact that UP has guys who can hit from the mid range might actually be helpful to them. So I'm gonna say one. I'm more concerned about how UP's bad habit when things aren't going great sometimes is to go too much to the ISO ball, hero ball plays. But if they can get the good shot attempts based off ball movement, even if that means mid-range jumpers, then I'm okay with that because for guys like Gerry, Harold, that's their strength, right? And I mean, there comes a certain point you just have to lean with the strength of your players. Okay, let's see. Next question. What's another concern here? For Lasalle, how concerned should you be about the way Jacob Bale has played defense on Jacob Cortez so far, based on this second game?
Siguro just a three. Because I think Jacob is also spent. The same argument that I had for Harold Alarcon. I think Jacob is just spent for game 2 na he had to give up a bit. And then Kian Baclaan, yung rolled ankle ni Kian Baclaan earlier, I think that really messed up the rhythm for Lasal because Jacob Cortez had to come in way earlier than he had to. So I think the rhythm was just off for Jacob Cortez, Kian Baclaan being out, being had to sub off because of the ankle. Medyo problem yon. But mm, yeah, that's just it. Three lang.
I'm at a three as well. I think that Bale is the best option to guard Cortez from UP's array of talent, but I feel like Jacob is smart enough of a player where he's just gonna find a way to score no matter what and be impactful. Like some of those drives to the rim, scores off turnovers when he stole the ball a few times. And who knows? I mean, if Jacob gets that ball on that last play for Lasalle and he takes a shot into the Vorse and it goes in, we might not even be talking so much about. I mean, we'll still be, acknowledging Baylor's defensive effort, but instead of the conversation being Jacob's defense limited Cortez, it might have been Cortez was able to find a way despite Baylor's strong defense. I mean, that's what happens with wins or losses, right? The results sometimes dictate the narratives and the storylines.
Yep.
Okay, we have a question here from James. Shout out to James. James
Yo.
asks, given that both games went down the line and that both teams are generally healthy in the rotation as the rotation players are available, do you think that the coaches will go deeper to their bench and look for X factors, or will we see the same guys on the floor for game 3? I think we're gonna generally see more of the same guys. Probably one or two less guys for DLSU. I'm not sure if we're gonna get a random 3-minute LeBron appearance. Not sure we'll get to see a lot of Bright Noanko also. But the rotation of Cortez, Phillips, Makalalag, Abadam, Goliena, Pablo Marasigan, Dungo, Amos, and Baclan. I think we're gonna see that for DLSU. UP side naman, I think Abadiano, yes. Noruka, yes. Remogat, yes. Iniguez, maybe slight. Torres, yes. Stevens, yes. Bela, definitely yes. Harold, absolutely. Felicilda, brief moments. This is gonna be his last game in the UAAP, so I expect to see him on the court. For Teya, it will depend on how hot he is. If he's not exactly lighting it up from outside because of his defensive struggles sometimes, they might not play him a lot. Alter maybe briefly. Belmonte, I would say maybe 50-50. How about you, Carl? What do you think?
Is it gonna be the same guys or my magic bunot? I don't think there's gonna be a magic bunot for either side. But if there was one guy, I think from either side, I think Mason Amos would be that guy. 15 minutes for Mason is okay, but he has to be a little bit more impactful. Okay na nga, you step through, layup, whatever the hell that was na pumasok. I'm fine with it. I can live with that. Okay yun. Okay lang yun. Pero the perimeter scoring for Lasal has to be the very, very first thing they have to address. That's the first. So I think Mason Amos will get more shots. And then for UP, Mix Iniguez, I think there can be siguro 12 minutes of Mix Iniguez would be enough just to get that X factor thing going. Pero in terms of rotations, I think it will be generally the same.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, we got some questions this episode too. People want to know what's happening with Jonty Miller, what's happening with the Sunbedder Red Lions. What I can say for sure is Jonty was at the game earlier. He was watching. He left somewhere towards the end of the third period. Got to chat up with him for like maybe a minute or so only, not a lot. Um, we'll see. Remains to be seen. There are some moving pieces in terms of where he's going, where he's gonna play. There's some moving pieces also in terms of what's happening with Sanbeda. If you go back to a podcast episode I did months ago during the off season, you kind of know what I'm talking about, and I'll try to do more reporting on it as we get to this upcoming off season because there's I'm not gonna spoil it, not yet. I just want to be safe right now. But basta, madami nangyayari. Let's just say that, okay?
I
If you guys have
I
any
agree.
if you guys have any other questions, just send them into the comments. Carl, I guess now we talk about game three. Okay, I mean we've brought up how we keep saying DLSU needs to do this, UP needs to do that. This will determine a win. This will determine a loss. So I don't want to get too much into that, just because at this point it feels like this is more of a chess game between both coaches, both teams, and the players, and it has all the makings of a classic basketball battle. I mean, it's the third straight time both teams are facing each other in the finals. It's insane. They and a lot of the guys who have been there from the beginning for UP since 2022 post pandemic, they're still there in that lineup. And a lot of the guys for DLSU like Abadam, Makalalag, Goliena, Phillips, they've been there for Lassal since this rivalry with UP in the finals started. So it's a mixture of everything: shooting, defensive strategies, the bounce of the ball sometimes literally, um, how tight the refs are gonna call the games. So with all that said, Carl, who's your pick to win game three on Wednesday?
Oh no. Who's my pick to win game three? Oi, Luis. Sorry, I just saw the question. Wild question, brother. We are not gonna answer that for many reasons. Now, but back to the topic. Hey, Jonas, nice to meet you. Nice to see you, brother. On this one, on game three, I think it's gonna be. Everyone's gonna hate me anyway, so might as well. Lasal. I think it's gonna be a Lasal title on Wednesday. Personally, I am putting it out there. I will be there at the Araneta Coliseum, win or lose. Jonas Oona making the pick. Lasal, game three. I will be there. If you want to get mad at me, sige, you can talk to me, but don't yell at me. I'm still a person. It's just sports. Pero Lasal, I don't think UP can contend with Lasal in game three. The physicality will be there. UP will continue to bring it. Lasalle will match it. And I think it's going to be a Mike Phillips resurgence game. The one that we've all been waiting for. 15 points, 8 rebounds at the very minimum, potentially. Kasi last game na niya in the UAP, win or lose. Crazy. It's going to be crazy on game 3. How about you, Navs?
Yeah, I picked LaSalle to win in game three after game one. I said UP would win game two on this podcast with you, and then LaSalle would win in game three. So I'm sticking with that. I think LaSalle will win in game three. It's anybody's series, honestly. I mean, the series could very well come down to like I said, the bounce of a basketball, or one tough break, or one lucky break, or it could be an individual performance for the ages. Who knows, right? But like I said, I picked Lassal to win the series, so I'm sticking with that. Lasalle in 3 games. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. Carl, thanks, of course, once again for joining me on this podcast. Anything you want to mention or anyone you want to shout out before we end this episode?
Well, first, let us shout out the UST Golden Tigresses. Congratulations on winning the title. To my good friend, Coach Jed Austria, congratulations, brother. This is your second title. Sobrang proud kami sa'yo as your very, very close friends. Nax FC, de joke. Pero I'm really, really proud of you, bro. We've seen how hard you work. To the rest of the team, you've also worked hard at it. So we're all proud of you, Coach Jed, UST Golden Tigresses. Good job. San Beda, Beda won the title. Congrats to them also. And let's shout them out. Sino ba bang pwede natin i-shout out? Oh yeah, Ateneum picking DLSU. Yes, it is the end of the world. I am sticking with DLSU. I chose to I picked them to win game 3. I'm sticking with my choices. Like I said, sinabi ko before, 5-0 Ateneo. Did not happen. I stuck to my guns. UST at 5. Antok ako. I stuck to my guns. So basically, yeah, it's gonna be a good game. I'll see you guys on Wednesday at the Araneta Coliseum. So if you see me, batiin niyo ako. I will say hi as well. Hindi ako big time. So yeah. How about you, Nebs?
Uh, Hindi din ako ng big time, I guess. I don't know where that came from, but after you said that, I just felt the need to mention it too. No, no, no. I mean, you a lot of you guys in the podcast know this at this point. I didn't go to a lot of the games towards the end of the elimination round, and I missed the whole final four too, because my wife and I were waiting for her to go into labor. By the way, seeing your loved one in contractions, just very very difficult to see them go through that kind of pain and you not really being able to do anything. But yeah, so I went back to cover the games live on in game one. That was last Wednesday, this past Wednesday. And I got a lot of dad bod comments. I mean, I know I haven't been working out much, guys, but I don't think I'm in the dad bod level yet. Come on. I'm not gonna get up and model for you guys right now, okay? But I'm not there yet. Like I'm getting back to my workout regimen tomorrow. Supposed to wait till 2026, but after all the dad bod comments I've been getting, including from like coaches and players, I need to get back on the fitness journey, man. But yeah, no, because I've been at the games, I've been able to interact with fans. Some have asked for, pictures, which amazes me. I mean, I used to ask for pictures from people growing up, and now people are asking for pictures with me, and it's 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 so like, I mean, it's kind of kilig for me as well, but also like sometimes I get awkward because I'm just so surprised by it. But anyway, long story
Nah,
short,
you deserve it. You
um,
deserve it, na, bro. You deserve it. You're at that point. It's
thank
fine. Accept
thank
it,
you,
bro.
thank you.
Accept it.
Long story short, I'm just super grateful when people go up to me and say they listen to the podcast. Some of them even still call it vlogs. Oh, I watch your vlogs. I'm like, yes, podcast, but yes. Okay, I watch your live. I watch your this. I read your this. It's just so nice because obviously, I'm blessed that I get paid to do this. The podcast, the writing, the media stuff. But for us in the media, at least for myself, when I'm speaking for myself here and a few others I know, that we do what we do because we want sports fans to feel what we felt growing up, like when we would read articles or when we would watch shows or we would listen to people screaming at each other debating their passionate sports beliefs, right? So when we have interactions like that where other diehard fans tell us that they appreciate what we do. I mean, that means the world. That's everything. So even if I'm sometimes in a rush or I'm busy at the arena, I just want everyone who goes up to me and tells me about that to know that I'm super appreciative of all of you and much love. Honestly, I'm just gonna always try my best to make sure that we provide top quality comment that you guys as listeners and viewers or readers can be proud of. and that can help grow the sports scene in the Philippines. And with that, my TED Talk is over, Carl.
Then okay lang yan, bro. Sometimes you need to let those things out. You know, you gotta put it out into the world. And you know, I've seen you. I've known you for siguro I've known you by name siguro for 6 years, for as long as I've been a sports journalist. And I've seen you rise from the guy who wrote a coffee table book about UP to where you are now, brother. Very very proud of you. You've been doing hard. You've been going hard at work, and I can't blame you for anything. Deserve all of it, bro. Legit.
I appreciate that, bro. Just one thing I want to correct if I can. It's actually not a coffee table book. It's a legit story.
Again,
it's like
those were the comments at the time. You're like, who is this guy making
exactly.
a coffee
I
table book? Like, what?
I
Huh?
know everyone's like you made a coffee table book for UP. I'm like it's not a coffee table book is
Exactly.
different. This is a
Exactly.
non-fiction book. And anyway, that's in the past now, I guess. But I still do have copies for the UP fans who want to purchase. Just let me know, hit me up. I have some that I guess I could get to you guys. And yeah, I mean, Carl, you're also doing a good job. You're doing photography, you're writing articles, and I'm sure you're only gonna keep improving and keep getting better from here on out. And you deserve all the opportunities you get as well, including the work you're doing with us at All Star. I know that you haven't been doing a lot of fight articles recently, but that's gonna change in 2026. And who knows, maybe some other projects that you could do for us as well.
Definitely, definitely. You know, thanks for the words, man, because sidebar, ako naman sa sidebar ngayon. In 2019, when I started out in sports, I was told that, sino ba tong taong to, hindi ba siya marunong magsulat? He will never get anywhere in the industry. And hindi ko na lang sasabihin ko sino. It's a very, very well-known personality. But those words stuck to me. Yun pa rin yung motivation ko to this day. I've never forgotten that moment, and I've been working hard to prove to myself and to everyone else na I do deserve it. And a lot of lucky breaks along the way. Got to meet Nabs along the way. So some lucky breaks. So, you know, and a lot of hard work, and just be nice to people, guys. If you want to be in
Yes.
sports, be nice to people. Legit, people will not forget what you did, whether it's good or bad, to them, to others, the people that you see sa venues, in the crowd. People do not forget. Kaya, please, just be nice to everyone. Yun lang.
Except
Wala
yung
na ako sasabihin.
mga anonymous accounts on social media who don't put their real names and don't put their real faces but feel like they have all the guts in the world to trash talk because they're
Yan, I
hiding behind the
understand.
keyboard. Those people, you tell them to go screw themselves.
Oh, yes. I would be in the same boat too, yes.
But anyway, yeah, much love to our community, the Nabs Effect community chat, always very active and hyper. Shout out to the people I work with at All Star Magazine, James, Vin, Javi, Chin, Zai, who have been helping me out with UAP coverage this year. One more game, guys, and then we can all maybe take a breather. Shout out to Varsity Lifestyle, our friend Kirk, and Enrico, who's been doing some good work for them as well. And yeah, just to the entire UAP community. I know we have one game left, so I don't want to get too emotional saying goodbye right now. But hey, it's the journey that's always the beautiful part about all of this. And the journey has led to one final matchup with all the marbles on the line. Game three. No better words in the UAP men's basketball team. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining me, Carl.
Night, guys.